This is the Retirement Solution Podcast with financial advisor Jon Hicks, founder of J. Hagan Capital.
We are glad to have you spending some of your day here with us on the Retirement Solution with financial advisor Jon Hicks, founder of J. Hagan Capital. I'm Heather Branch, here with Jon every week on the radio, working to get his insight on what options you have for the years ahead. After decades working and saving and sacrificing and doing all the responsible things that you do, now you want to know that nest egg is going to turn around and work hard for you in retirement. Jon wants to know that too. That's why he's here. That's why his team at J. Hagan Capital, helping folks every single day figure out retirement, and they are here for you as well. So if you are ready to start the conversation, if you've got plans, 2026 is your year to figure all these things out. Let's begin that conversation. You can give us a call at 502-317-0840. Let's go ahead and schedule some time on the calendar or find us anytime. RetirementSolutionRadio.com. We made it. We made it through another year. Well, now we're into the January weeks. It's time to, all I want to do is settle down for a long winter's nap, and it just the things, there's not enough time.
It's hard for me to believe it's already 2026. I had just gotten used to 2025. I don't know, plus it had a ring to it. 2026. I don't know. I'm a little excited.
Welcome to that time of year where anything you save, you have to go back and change the date on because you're labeling everything January such and such 2025. Nope, 2026.
It's the truth. I know. I was looking at that. I was like, no, this is a new calendar. I hadn't even opened it up. It's 2025. Actually, I think it was 2024. Oh, no. I still hadn't opened it. Well, we'll save it for another day.
That's right. You never know. In a few more years, one would have cycled back around so that the numbers and the dates do actually align.
It's like Chinese New Year. Every 12 years, you end up with this is the year of the fire horse, right? The year of the horse.
Well, it is.
Last year was the year of the snake.
Okay.
The year before, I know, but see, that's the whole thing. But every 12 years, it recycles.
It does? I didn't know that. Okay.
Yes.
Got all kinds of factual information.
Yeah, Chinese New Year. So I was born near the dragon, which was 2 years ago. 2 years ago was the year of the dragon. This is the year of the fire horse. Yeah.
I wonder what my Chinese. I'm gonna have to look that up. We'll circle back to that.
Year of the goat. No, that sounds but it's true.
What's the year of the tall giant lady with the big wild hair? Is that a thing? Because that's the year I was born in.
That was the one. See, that's it.
For those of you listening to us on the radio, I'm over 6 feet tall. It's a lot, but it's a good time.
I think fire horse may be your year.
Maybe might be my year.
It's great. So I did not know this. This is new to me, but it kind of puts a lot of things in perspective when I'm thinking about business, or even when I'm thinking about someone thinking about retirement. So last year was the year of the snake, and I was like, well, what does that actually mean? So of course I went to my good friend, the AI machine on the Google thing. And I was like, hey, what does the year of the snake mean? And it said, year of the snake is not about doing things. It's about shedding your skin, shedding all those things that were bad for you. In the year of the horse, this is the year of the fire horse, supposedly. The fire horse is the year of getting things done. So if you think about that, maybe last year you shed the skin, you got rid of all that, and this year is the year that you got all that baggage off of you. This is the year to conquer, to implement, to do the game plan, to get get everything going, and not just plan for it, execute.
I love it.
So I'm pretty excited. And this 2026 is starting off with fireworks, maybe more fireworks than Venezuela. I'm not sure yet, Heather. We started off with a bang.
Wow.
Let's be real.
Wow.
Let's be real about that.
There's a lot going on.
This is going to be an interesting year.
Let's focus on what we can control and seeking opportunities. Like you said, getting things done, getting to work.
Yes.
So as with every new year that often brings tax rule changes along with it, this year is no different. Newer tax laws coming into effect. The One Big Beautiful Bill Act, also Secure Act 2.0. Let's talk taxes for 2026. What do we need to know heading into this year, and how does it apply to our overall tax planning?
Yeah, so last year they changed the tax code roughly halfway through the year, but a lot of people were not aware of what those changes meant, right? So we called it the OBA, One Big Beautiful Bill Act, and then you have with that Secure Act 2.0. So those two things together made kind of a lot of changes that a lot of people really didn't pay attention to, they didn't look at. But there's 3 or 4 things that I really want to talk about today because they kind of are impactful. Some of us, it may be very positive, and for others of us, we may just want to plan around it. But one of the biggest things that changed, if you're a high income earner, right? So if you make over $100,000 $150,000 a year and you're over 50 years old, you can make extra contributions to your 401k, which has been the case for a while. But check this out. If you're a high income earner and you're over 50, you have to, in 2026, for the next several years, you have to put that catch-up contribution, that extra contribution, in a Roth 401k. You cannot put it in a tax-deferred account and get a tax break. So some folks, they're like, oh man, that's good. I kind of wanted to get money in a Roth, which is a tax-free bucket anyway. But there's a lot of us that are like, man, but I kind of wanted that tax break. Well, we're not going to have that if we're over 50 and we make over $150,000 a year. So the one thing I want to focus on, though, is that I think that that's a very positive thing. When we on this show all the time, we're talking about, unfortunately, our government does not have a ton of excess money. As a matter of fact, we're still running deficits.
That's the understatement of the year.
Isn't it?
You heard it here. You heard it here. January 2026. Jon Hicks making the understatement of the year already.
Right out of the gate. Right, we're going to start this year off with a real bang. But no, but so when you look at that, not only are we running a budget deficit at the moment, but we still have we're getting close, guys, to $40 trillion of national debt. So my fear is that tax rates are probably going to go up at some time in the future. Now, are they going to happen during this presidential administration? I think absolutely not. But what are the choices if we keep going upside down like this in the future? There aren't really a lot of choices. So I think getting money in tax-free accounts is really one of the smartest things that we can do. You just want to run the math. For some folks, it really is not a benefit to convert a lot of your money. There are other things we can do, like using tax loss harvesting or even tax gain harvesting, if we're in a lower tax bracket, where we can make a tremendous difference and maybe completely eliminate short-term capital gains, long-term capital gains, and even inheritance type taxes in your situation without having to convert. So the one thing I want to talk about right now, though, is I think that Roth conversions are great. And by the way, if you are between 60 and 63, based on the new laws or based on the new tax code, if you're between 60 and 63, you can do a super catch-up, a contribution for your 401k, which means you can put an extra $7,500 away. Guys, that's a ton of money. I had a client who came in, and she's not retirement age yet. She's 52. But she does great. She makes almost $200,000 a year, and she's always put her money in tax deferred accounts. She wanted to get the tax break, and so she was kind of upset. It was the end of the year last year when we were talking about. She was like, "Oh man, John, I'm not going to be able to put my money and get a tax break on it anymore. I have to put it in a Roth." Well, we ran the numbers for her, and we had not done any conversions because, again, she's 52, not nearing retirement age yet. And if she kept putting the money in tax deferred, it would increase her future marginal tax rate in retirement. She would actually go higher into the 28% tax rate, where right now she's just in the 24. She would have to pay 4% more taxes every year in retirement.
Got it.
Had we not paid attention and actually embrace using the Roth or to put it in at least a tax-free account. So that is a big difference. And what we found out is that's going to save her $78,000 to $80,000 just over the next 10 years of putting money away, but actually putting it tax-free, right?
Got it.
So those are some big things that we can actually think about. But it's important, right? If you have not done a tax analysis of your retirement, that's something you really want to consider doing. If your guy doesn't do it, call us. But the main thing is that, everyone out there that's thinking about retirement or they've recently retired, everyone needs to have a tax plan, right? Our biggest expense in retirement, chances are, is going to be taxation. And if we look at the fact that we could be maybe in the lowest tax rate environment that we're going to be in for the foreseeable future, at least unless the government fixes out how to make more money instead of taxing us. And I don't know that they can do that. But if they don't, then I think that we have to be certain that we're planning correctly. So get a tax plan. If you don't have one, give us a call. We're happy to go through that with you. If we can add value to your situation, is what we want to do. So anyway, the biggest thing is, yes, you can put more money away, which is awesome for 2026. The side note is that we're going to probably have to do it in a Roth if you're a high wage earner, but I think that could be a good thing. All right, two other major changes, the SALT deductions, right? So state and local taxes go from $10,000 a year, ladies and gentlemen, to $40,000 $1,000 a year. That's right. If you are a high wage earner and you pay a ton in state and local taxes, guess what? You can knock a whole bunch more off of your taxable income, up to 40 grand a year. And that's going to sunset though. By 2029, that's not going to happen anymore. So take advantage of that. For many people, this might mean you don't have to itemize anymore. You might be able to do standard deductions, just take the SALT exemptions or the SALT deductions, right? Mm-hmm. So that could be beneficial. This is another thing. Remember, it's all about tax planning. If you don't have a CPA that understands this, go find one. They're out there. I promise. If you don't have one, call us. We have CPAs. We have tax attorneys literally on the staff for one major reason: to make sure we don't do dumb stuff like not take advantage of these things, right? Yeah. So that's what they're there for. I got them for me personally first, and then I realized, oh, this is too good. We got to make sure that we do this for everyone. Yeah. So SALT deductions are big. And the last one I want to talk about is senior deductions. Okay. All right. There is a new deduction, an extra $6,000 a year if you're 65 years old. So a married filing jointly couple, $12,000 of extra deductions if you click the box. Right. I know there's going to be some form. I have not seen the form yet. I do not want to know what the 1040 looks like for 2025, but my guess is there's a box or there's something you're going to have to do. I got to check with my own CPA about that situation, but you can get it if you're over 65, extra $12,000 a year if you're married filing jointly. So those are big things, right? Mm-hmm. So if you look at these types of things, you may get $12,000 of extra deductions if you're over 65. You might be able to deduct an extra up to $40,000 of state and local taxes. And on top of that, you can make catch-up contributions that can grow tax-free. Guys, these are pretty good tax incentives if you plan correctly. If you don't have a game plan, give us a call.
Jon and his team at J. Hagan Capital, they've been helping folks retire for decades. And as every year goes by, it gets more and more complex, does it not, sir?
It absolutely does. And the rules change all the time, too, because the laws change, taxes change. It all changes, right? We get a little bit older, which frankly changes some things, right?
Listen, it's good for you because job security. But for the rest of us that are over here just trying to figure it all out, yeah, it doesn't feel so good. So if you have questions, if you are 5 to 10 years from retirement, that's a very sweet spot that we're always saying now is the time to reach out to Jon and his team at J. Hagan Capital. Don't wait till you're getting ready to retire next week or next month, or you're already retired. Let's get to work now to figure out what your opportunities might be. And you can do that. Visit us at retirementsolutionradio.com. Yes, sir. What were you going to say?
Well, that's a really good point. What you just said was really good. So a lot of people say, when I get really close to retirement, like if I'm going to retire in 3 months, then that's when I'm going to go see someone. Yeah. Guys, here's how to let you know. It is never the wrong time to make the right decision. So getting good advice is always great, no matter how long you wait. But if you give yourself 3 to 5 years before you retire to start the game plan, there are so many things that you can do. There are so many issues that you can navigate, so many things you can plan around, so many great things that you have access to. Why? Because we have time to implement things, to put things in place, to truly craft and curate what we want that beginning part of retirement to be. Because if you've listened to this show long enough, I want my clients, I want every listener to live the first 3 to 5 years of the retirement as well as they can. I want you to front load retirement because that's when you're going to be the youngest. That's when you're going to be the healthiest potentially. And I want you to enjoy. I want you to travel if you want to do that. I want you to take the grandkids to Disney if you want to do that. I want you to get that lake house if you want to do that and it makes sense. I want you to do all those things. And those cost a lot of money. And if you lose or if you spend too much money in the beginning of retirement, you can run out. So it does require a good plan. So 3 to 5 years is such a good time period to give my team time to work and get you everything you want. But again, it's never the wrong time to make the right decision. So if you don't have a game plan, I don't care if you retired 3 years ago, make sure that you have a good plan that can last as long as you do.
There is always opportunity. There is always opportunity for opportunity, we should say. And
absolutely,
that's what you guys are here to show folks every single day. You are doing that every day. Jon and his team, they are here for you, listening to us on HAS today. Let's begin that conversation. Maybe you're like, 2026 is the year I'm finally going to do it. It begins with a simple phone conversation with one of our advisors. We make it very easy for you. So if you want to go ahead and put some time on the calendar, 502-317-0840, or again, visit us anytime, retirementsolutionradio.com. I wanted to ask you about this quote that I read. And we've talked extensively about Warren Buffett here on this radio program, and we've quoted him a plethora, a cornucopia of times.
Absolutely.
I've never heard this one, though. It kind of slapped me in the face, and I wanted to ask you about it because I read it, and I was like, I don't know how to do that. Help me, Jon. So Warren Buffett once said, quote, "If you don't figure out how to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die."
Ooh.
That's a brutal. That's like I just feel like I just got popped right in the face, like pop. Hey, hey, dummy.
The crazy thing about that is I've heard that statement before. I had no idea it came from Warren Buffett.
Here we are.
But honestly, that is one of the greatest and honest statements that I've heard in a very long time. And if you think about it, it's what it means. So people that own their own businesses, people that own their own companies, people that have certain types of investments, people that have like rental real estate, they're doing that. Think about what he said. He said, if you don't figure out how to make money while you sleep, you'll work until you die. Now think about that. That is 100% factual to so many people. But if we could make money when we're not thinking about it or earn an income without having to work, how awesome would that be? Right? That'd be incredible. So I want everyone to kind of think about that. And because there are ways that every one of us can do that. Right. And we don't have to be multi-billionaires in order to make that happen. We don't have to have how much is Warren Buffett worth these days? $130 billion or whatever it is.
No idea.
He has made a lot of money as he slept. And that's, I probably will never get that kind of great sleep that he's gotten. But the truth is that every one of us can kind of set ourselves up for this kind of thing. Right.
Okay.
So number one, we all need to own what I call forever assets. These are assets that, frankly, you don't need to stare at all the time. You don't need to be mixing around too much. These are things that are built to do the hard work for us so that we can live life the way we want. We can sip our pina colada or our iced tea, or this time of year, our hot coffee as it's cold outside, and watch the kids playing across the street or whatever. We want to be able to relax, to enjoy downtime, right? So if we think about forever assets, there's 4 that I want to discuss right now, and they're probably not what you think they are.
Okay.
Cryptocurrency is not on the list, Heather. I don't care what anyone says.
How dare you?
And neither are, NFTs,
are those
non-fungible tokens.
The art, there was the art things.
It's like digital art.
Very weird, yes. Yeah.
It's weird. I don't even know if those things are being made anymore. They're giving them away free at McDonald's if you order a small fry. I don't know how that works. But those are not forever assets. Yeah. But there's 4 I want to talk about. Okay. Number 1. The number one way that millionaires are created in the United States of America is the first forever asset, real estate. It's not the stock market, ladies and gentlemen. It sure as heck is not Bitcoin. Real estate. Real estate has created more millionaires in this country than any other asset, bar none. If you actually think about it, the president of the United States right now, Donald Trump, made a tremendous amount of his fortune doing what? Real estate, buying them, redeveloping them, defining all these things. So real estate is still the greatest. Now, I'm not just talking about your primary residence. To have a lake house that you rent out, rental real estate is fabulous because hopefully it pays for itself and then it pays you while you're sleeping over time. Now, even your personal residence, even your primary residence, hopefully is growing by 2 or 3% a year, even though you're living there, right? Hopefully it is. And it becomes an asset that later down the road, if you have to relocate to a facility or a nursing facility or you want to downsize, hopefully you have a nice appreciated asset that you can live off of, right? Okay. So real estate is number one. Never, ever, ever think that real estate is a bad investment. There are bad real estate deals out there, but most of the time real estate's good. And if you have kids in their 30s or 40s or 50s, encourage them to consider real estate as a forever asset. Okay.
Yep.
So that's number 1. Number 2, dividend stocks or stocks that pay you income. So the whole point is, what did Warren Buffett say? If you don't know how to make money while you sleep, you'll work until you die. Think about it. But if you own a good quality company, and by owning that quality company, hopefully it grows over time, but in owning that company, it pays you 3 or 4 or 5% a year in income is fabulous. And especially if it's a good company. And I don't even have to get into it. You guys know those great companies out there. Most of the time, they're energy companies like Chevron or Exxon or Marathon or Texaco, whatever, those good quality companies that always pay dividends. And there's actually a group out there called dividend aristocrats. If you're not familiar with this, these are companies that have been around that have historically increased their dividends that they pay you over the last 10 or 20 years. Every year, they have a slightly increasing dividend. Guys, these are great. I'm not saying that everyone should just go out there and buy them. It's not a blanket statement, but dividend paying equities are very attractive. Hopefully the equity grows, but even if it doesn't, you're earning 3 or 4 or 5% on the money. So I think those are forever assets. And now there's been a huge evolution in investing. Now you don't even have to own a dividend stock. You can own a dividend fund, like an exchange traded fund, and they own all the good ones that are increasing dividends all the time.
Okay.
So you can get those income checks potentially every month. And then at the same time, there's also other funds that actually use options to actually give you even more income. Some of these pay even 6 or 7 or 8% income. Now, I'm not making a blanket statement because you can lose money in these things.
Right.
But the idea is, as long as you have a little bit of risk tolerance, dividend stocks or ETFs are very attractive. And I feel honestly that if you get a good one, like a Vanguard or a Schwab or a Fidelity one, you should consider those being forever assets.
Okay. Yep.
So dividend stocks, number 2. Number 3, index funds. And I typically, whenever I'm saying fund, I personally mean an exchange traded fund, an ETF.
Okay.
I do not like, and if you've heard this show before, I do not like mutual funds very much because mutual funds are often much more expensive. They are tax inefficient if you own them in a taxable account, and you do not get the control that you have over an individual stock or an exchange traded fund. For instance, if the market started tanking, you cannot sell your mutual fund and get that price that you see that moment. You have to wait to the very end of the business day. And what if the market went down another 2 or 3%? Guess what? You automatically locked in at the end of day price, which could be the worst price of the day. I just do not like mutual funds. So anytime I say fund, I want you to consider exchange traded funds. But index funds, which are low cost, easy to operate, usually easy to understand, are great forever investments. Okay. And the last one of the 4, annuities. I know. They get a terrible rap. They're hyper-polarizing. Some people in sweater vests only sell annuities. La, 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 la. But the point is that there are very few things out there that operate like a pension or operate like Social Security in the fact that you put your money in something and it will guarantee you in income for a period of time or your whole life. Now, that is not the reason to always go get one. And some of them, guys, I have to be honest, are absolute trash. They're terrible products. But I have seen out there over the years handfuls of really attractive annuities that pay really well for people for literally not only their life, but their spouse's life or even the next generation's life. So again, those are good forever assets. And an annuity to me is a long-term, basically forever type asset anyway. You want it because you want a guarantee, and it's rare that you can say that word, but a guaranteed income. So those considered would be the 4th asset class. So those 4 things, if you think about those in this period of time, those are things that you can do so that you can make money while you sleep and don't have to, work until you die. We don't want to do that.
No, goals for all of us. Jon and his team here to show you what opportunities you might have within your savings plan. So let's begin the conversation. 502-317-0840 is our number. We've got a teammate standing by ready to answer your call and help you set a time on the calendar for an initial phone conversation with one of our advisors. 502-317-0840. This is a no-fee, no obligation phone conversation, just some space for you to ask some questions, express what you're concerned about, what your interests are. Do you want to learn more about how to make money while you're sleeping? And then our advisor will explain to you how they can help you at J. Hagan Capital. Jon and his team want to do just that. 502-317-0840. If you're 5 to 10 years from retirement and you've saved at least $500,000, that's where you're really going to see the power of this kind of planning take effect. You can also find us anytime, retirementsolutionradio.com, or it's 502-317-0840. You've been doing this radio. Have you been doing this radio program for over almost 15 years now?
I think we're going literally on year 12, I think. They haven't kicked me off yet. Notice the operative word is yet.
We'll keep doing what we're doing until they throw us out of the radio station. In the meantime, we're here for you. So as you're listening today, or of course, anytime if you are wanting to learn more about Jon and his team at J. Hagan Capital, you have questions, You can begin the conversation. Find us at retirementsolutionradio.com. If you are new to the program, you might not know that besides his love for finances and all the things that he does for a living, the man also loves to cook. You are good in the kitchen.
It's my stress relief. I find it cathartic because for whatever reason, if I'm in the kitchen, my family knows, and I say it like I've trained them. No, they just understand. If I'm in there, they're going to eat probably pretty good food, so they leave me alone, right? I mean, and that's not a negative.
You're
it's not like I want to get away from them.
I figured out a way for them not to talk to me.
I mean, I have friends, all kinds of friends, and you know, after hours they go play golf, or they go out and meet with the boys, or they go to the local pub and they watch a football game. I'm almost always at home. If we're not toting kids around for soccer games and all that kind of stuff, I'm usually at home cooking because I still get my downtime. Even though I'm around everyone, because if I'm in the kitchen and cooking, they allow me, like, an open bottle of wine, pour a little glass, and they leave me be.
There it is.
They don't even talk, quote unquote, at me, right? So I live in a house of all ladies, love them more than anything on this planet. I would never change it for anything. But sometimes I get talked at instead of talked to or with. So for whatever reason, cooking gets me not talked at.
Every girl dad that's listening to us on 840 right now is nodding along, going, I feel you. I feel you, John.
Preach on, preacher man, preach on.
To the idea of somebody who likes to cook. If you are in that space, then the name Alton Brown.
Good Eats, Iron Chef America,
He's been published many times over. He was I think he just recently put out another book. So he was doing it as, authors do. They put the book out and they do all the book tour stuff. Sure. He was on PBS and they were asking him about if you could teach home cooks one fundamental technique, what would that be? This is Alton Brown's very interesting response.
How to actually read a recipe, which people have lost that ability. It's one of the things that I blame TikTok for, is that we have forgotten how to interact with this piece of instructional writing. My thing is, you sit down, you read it like you would read a short story, and then you read it again while taking notes about it. Do I have these ingredients? Do I know what this word means? Does anything need to marinate for 8 hours? And to do that without touching tools, without touching the food. Learning how to read a recipe properly is the single biggest upgrade any beginning or even kind of middle skill cook can do to enhance their skill set.
I think that what he said was maybe one of the most genius things I have ever heard when it comes to giving a practical lesson to someone, right? Yeah. So a lot of say, well, here's how you hold a spatula, or here's how you whisk egg whites, or here's how you get the perfect sear on a steak. All those are like true skills. Think about it. What did he say? Read the recipe all the way through before you start grabbing the chicken and hacking it up.
Right.
If you think about that, you can apply that to almost anything in life. What he's basically saying is, hey, set yourself up for success. Just read it. I can't not tell you how many times that I have looked at a recipe and it's like 2 or 3 pages. So guess what? Do I make that? Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, I write a little note to myself, never look at this recipe again. Let's apply that exact same thing to retirement, right? Yeah. What is your recipe? If you think about it right now, if you think about, how much money you've saved and what you're invested in and where your income is going to come from and what your social security is going to be and what your expected tax rate to be and how many dependents are you going to have and are you going to be in this, all those things. Think about it. Do you have a recipe for how you're going to take all that stuff and make it work? I bet the majority of people, if they think about it like a recipe, like, I don't want to burn it. I want to know if I need to marinate it for 6 hours. I need to know if I need a certain cut of beef. I can't use, what do you mean? What do you mean I can't use flank steak? Well, this uses rump roast. Oh, is it not the same? Guys, it's not the same.
Yeah.
And so the thing of it is, think about your quote unquote retirement recipe, because here's my big thing. I do not read emails that are longer than about 4 sentences. Heather knows this. If it is longer than 4 sentences or one small paragraph, guess what I do? I wonder what that says. I promise you, here's how I use AI. I say, AI, what does this thing say?
Yeah.
And it will condense it and use as and I want it in 6 bullet points or 6 words. And I'll be dang, I can find out exactly what I need, because my whole thing is I don't have enough time to do things.
Right.
When I think about a recipe and you think about the rest of your retirement life, what does your recipe say? What does it look like? Because here's my thing. I think everyone should have their entire financial retirement recipe on one sheet of paper. One sheet, and preferably only 5 bullet points.
What about that 100-page packet we get from wherever we get our stocks, our 401k plan?
People will come into our office and they'll sit down with an advisor and they bring this thing that's thicker than the
Bible.
New James Bible. And they're like, and here's what I do every single time. Yeah. What does that say? And they're like, I have no idea, John. The guy handed it to me and I had never read it. I'm like, if you did look at it, would you know what it means? He goes, well, some of it, but all of it? Are you kidding me? This is crazy. And I agree with that. And if you don't understand it, or if you won't read it, what good is it? Right? I think if most people did think about what Alton Brown said, read the recipe. If you just read the recipe, I bet your cooking skill would go up 50% minimum. And then if you actually did what the recipe said, I bet you would come out, even if it's not the best thing you've ever eaten, I bet it'd be really good, especially if you had a good source to get the recipe from, right? So it's very simple. So think about retirement as the same way. What is your current recipe? And so there's only 5 ingredients, 5 major ingredients to any retirement recipe. Number 1, what is your protection? How much of your money is protected? That's number 1, always number 1. So basically, what's your risk tolerance and how much could you lose? Could you still finish that recipe? Could you still get retired if you lost 40%, 30%? Well, do you have that much protection? So the big thing, number 1, first ingredient is protection. How much do you have? How much do you need? Okay. The second ingredient is income. What is going to pay you so that you can live in your retirement? Most people are going to have Social Security or some form of a state or federal pension. That's great. That is a piece of the puzzle. That is one element of income. But do you have rental real estate? Does it pay you money is it on Airbnb or Verbo or VRBO, whatever they call that? Do you ever rent things out for people? Do you sell stuff on Etsy? Do you antique and sell those things? Basically, what is your income source? Do you have an annuity? Are you given a guaranteed pension? Do those things exist? Do you have dividends that are going to come in? Most people, if you ask them, hey, where's your income going to come from? Here's what they say. Well, I got $1 million. I'm just going to pick at it. Guys, that's not a really good recipe. That is maybe a recipe for disaster. But the thing of it is what's going to give you your income, because that is the second ingredient. You can't really know if your retirement's going to work if you don't know if you're protected and you don't know where the income's going to come from, right? Those are the 2 big ones. So 1 and 2. Number 3, what is your tax strategy? So it's great. Let's say that you figure out that you're going to have $100,000 of income when you're retired. But how much of it do you get to keep? Do you get to keep all 100,000? Not usually. Most people don't get to keep it all. So how much do you get to keep? Do you get to keep 80% of it? Or maybe just 60% of it? You know, should you consider moving to a different state? It's not a decision to make, but should you? Is that a time that you would want to consider that when you're looking at this recipe? I know that Texas doesn't have any state tax. Tennessee doesn't have any state tax. Florida doesn't have any state tax. But what are the property taxes there, right? What are the school taxes? What are the other things that we may not? Is it in a flood zone? Am I going to have to pay an extra $10,000 a year for that? All those things, because when you're reading the recipe, when you're reading your retirement plan, you can decide, if I've given that enough thought, right? No, that's application and implementation. But the main thing is, what does the recipe say? So the third one is tax design. The fourth one is wealth transfer, right? If we've done a good job saving, if you've saved $600,000, $1 million, $3 million, $10 million, awesome. And if you think that your retirement and your wife's retirement or your spouse's retirement is going to be good, sweet. The question though is, what happens when you're gone? Is it all going to go to the government? Is it going to go to the church you want to? Is it going to go to your alma mater? Is it actually going to go to the kids and grandkids the way you hope? Or is it going to go to the person that one of your kids divorced, right? Is it going to, well, how do we know that? We have to have a proper wealth transfer tool, right? So the first time that we transfer wealth is really not to the next generation. Unfortunately, it's because one of the spouses passes away. So the first time we transfer wealth is from a deceased person, like they say their IRA or 401k goes to the surviving spouse. So that is the first transfer. It changes your tax situation. It changes your estate tax potential situation. It changes your inheritance tax potential situation. It may even change your state tax situation. So you need a plan for that to be certain that if you've done a great job, your retirement's awesome. Is the money going to go where you want it to? Is it going to go to the government? The fifth and last thing, how are you going to pay for healthcare? I don't like talking about it very often because I don't like long-term care insurance. I really don't. I think that some people really need to consider it, although I think that most of it, unfortunately, is a bit of a ripoff. So you really have to understand, though, because if all of a sudden you have everything else lined up, but you have a health scare and it costs you $600,000 or $700,000, because it cost $500,000 for my dad to have in-home care after he had a stroke, and it blew through a ton of their money. So that one thing can blow things up. So what is your plan for healthcare? Do you have a plan? Do you have long-term care insurance? Even though I don't love it, if you have it, at least it's a peace of mind. So how are you going to pay for it? What asset do you have that you can check mark to know that, okay, if this happens, this is the asset I'm going to use? Those 5 things can all fit on an index card, but that is a recipe for proper retirement. Protection, income, tax design, wealth transfer design, and healthcare. If you have those 5 things, you have the very beginning of a perfect retirement recipe. And your choice is, what do you want the recipe to taste like? Savory, sweet, salty, all of the above. Because the point is that that's where you want to make sure that you have the right chef or the right cook to look at on how you create yours. If you don't have the right recipe, call my team. If we're not the right cook, if we're not the right book for you, no problem. But we'll send you to the right place to make certain that you're getting what you want for your retirement.
Let's begin the conversation helping you understand about your plan, your money, your future. It's retirementsolutionshow.com, or just click on the links we've got posted in the show notes.
Thanks for listening to the Retirement Solution Podcast with Jon Hicks. Begin the conversation about your savings plan with Jon and the team at J. Hagan Capital by visiting retirementsolutionradio.com. Be sure to listen to Jon's radio show, The Retirement Solution, Saturdays at 8 a.m. and Sundays at 9 a.m. on News Radio 840 WHAS.
J. Hagan Capital Incorporated is not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if J. Hagan Capital Incorporated is licensed in your state, please call 502-690-5635. J. Hagan Capital Incorporated is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through J. Hagan Capital, LLC, NPN number 188279094.